Hey y'all, welcome to Dots and Beyond. My name is Beth and I have been highlighting global festivals and celebrations as my bullet journal themes throughout 2022. For the June setup, my theme is Pride in the Name of Love, and I have a rainbow selection of washi tape and Archer and Olive acrylographs, so let's go ahead and get started. My challenge for this month is to recognize Pride without using every color and every Pride flag. Even sticking with the original rainbow colors seems daunting. As I mentioned in my last video, I am recovering from some serious work-induced burnout. I still want an aesthetic setup, but I need to simplify the process. My solution is to use a Dutch door and some washi tape for the monthly pages, along with some simple line drawings of holding hands. I'll enhance those line drawings on the weekly pages with some color, but only just a little. There is a reason June is Pride Month. It harkens back to the Stonewall riots when the public fought back against homophobic police officers raiding the Stonewall Inn in New York's Greenwich Village. It was 1969. While this wasn't the first instance of resistance, it sparked a movement and a gay pride march in Central Park was organized the following year. From this march, pride movements around the world grew. Along with the images of holding hands, I have chosen quotes from a myriad of LGBTQ+ community members to highlight through this setup. First is one of my personal favorites from SYLVIA Plath. I took a deep breath and listened to the old brag of my heart. I am. I don't often erase on camera, but I'm going to clean up the page before cutting the Dutch door. I use a Faber Castell kneaded eraser because I loathe eraser shavings. I could use scissors here, but mine aren't nearby, so I'm using a craft mat, which immediately sent my washi rolling across the floor. I'll pair that with this Fisker's finger craft knife. To cut a straight edge, I do utilize a ruler. This one is plastic, so I angle the craft knife just a hair away from the ruler so I don't inadvertently slice into the plastic. The cut isn't perfect. It's a little uneven in comparison to the cuts below it, but I'm not too worried about it. Post-video, I also remember to use a corner rounder to clean up the cut edges. Revealed below is the washi tape already placed. I did this off camera for two reasons. One, I'm terrible at gauging how much washi is left on a roll, and I was worried I might not have enough, but it worked perfectly. Second, this washi is just wider than the 5mm dot grid, and I had to place it to determine exactly how far it would come in from the edge of the page. That will wrap up this June cover page, which is much simpler than my January through May setups, but that is what I needed right now. So let's move on to my calendar and monthly dashboard. Because I cut one dot grid further than intended, I will need to shift my original plan over by 5mm, but that's an easy switch. Throughout the setup, I'm using two Pigma Microns, the 0.05 for most of the line work and the 0.03 for the small calendars. These pens and all other supplies are listed in the description box below, along with a link to my website if you want to haul some of these items for yourself. On most spreads, I try to lay down all of the straight lines first. They then act as a guide for the rest of the page. On the left is my monthly planning with space for dates, my top 3 priorities, and 5 things that need updating. On the right is a mini calendar, June header, and space for a beginning of the month check-in and an end of the month check-in, an idea I gleaned from Anna of Journal Away. Anna has some of the best end of month review ideas. I'll link her channel and Instagram below so you can check those out. I had planned to finish off the spread with the line drawing of holding hands, but then decided the important dates section needed some bullet points. To make those nice and even, I grabbed my Helix circle maker and used the smallest circle stencil, skipping every other line. And then, repeating Roy G. Biv in my head, I color in the bullet points with the rainbow colors, making sure I get them in the order nature intended. Acrylographs dry fast, but while they set, I'll fill in the mini calendar. Then I come back to outline each bullet point in black. These bullet points will tie in with another element later on. The quote on this page is from another favorite, English poet and playwright Oscar Wilde. To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist. That is all. Since the beginning of this pandemic, I have very much been in exist mode, and it's time to start living again. While you ponder the depth of those words, let's move on to the next spread, goals and self-care. I'll start off with the drawing of holding hands. Otherwise, this is going to be a fairly simple spread made up of 8 lists. The first 5 are 3 goals each for the 5 weeks of June. I place my weeks within whichever month has the majority of days, 4 or more for that week, so that gives me 5 weeks in June, with 5 days in week 23 and 4 days in week 27. The goals are personal, so I will fill those in later. The other 3 lists are for self-care action items, 5 each for mind, body, and soul. If you have any unique ideas I can put on these lists, let me know in the comments below. Each header will then be highlighted with the very light gray N95 Tombow dual brush pen. It's my favorite. These lists also need bullet points. I'll use the same method as before, pencil with the stencil, color, and then outline. Our quote for this page is, "What will you do now with this gift of your own left life?" Those words were written in the poem Snow by Carol Ann Duffy, the first woman, first known lesbian, and first Scottish-born poet to hold the title of Britain's Poet Laureate. If you don't have any suggestions for my self-care station, but you want me to know you were here, drop me a rainbow emoji in the comments. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up so I know you like it. And YouTube knows you like it. Maybe others will like it too. Now, let's set up my wellness tracker for June. I'll illustrate how these work in a minute, but the plan is for the bottom tracker to be a stress bar graph with a water line graph over it, and the top tracker to be a sleep bar graph with a mood line graph over it. Since I'm trying to explain this with only faint pencil lines as a reference, let me go ahead and set up the page. Our poet for this page of wellness is AUDRE LORDE, an extraordinary human who described herself as Black, lesbian, mother, warrior, poet. She was a fierce activist for human rights. I chose the quote, "When I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, then it becomes less and less important whether I am afraid." After the last 2 years, it's a quote that resonates with me, even though I am very much the opposite of its author. I chose to keep these hand images both colorless and genderless because love is love. Personally, I do identify as a straight woman, the gender into which I was born, but I am an ally. I have a gay son, and I gladly participate in giving free mom hugs. Here is a rough outline of how these trackers will look filled out. Bear with me as I sketch a sample on this Archer and Olive notepad. I only wanted to use 1 fineliner and no color for the rest of the month, so on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll draw a straight line on June 1st for my level of stress. Hopefully, it's not this high. I'll do the same for subsequent days. That's the bar graph. The line graph for water intake will also be on a scale of 1 to 10 of 8-ounce cups, but I'll draw a dot instead and then connect them together. The same method will be used for the sleep and mood graph. And here I will tie in the colored bullet points from the previous spreads by adding a strand of rainbow beads wrapped around the hands. Since the weekly pages are free of the rainbow washi tape, this is how I chose to tie those pages into the rest of the spreads. I make the beads in the same method as the bullet points, but guessing where some rainbow colors may be hidden behind a hand or a finger. Finally, I connect the dots with the fineliner to make them appear as a strand. I liken them to a friendship bracelet or a wedding hand-fasting ceremony, all within the "In the Name of the Love" theme. And the final touch on this spread will be to clean up where I dragged my wrist through one of the red beads before it was dry. Here I'm using an Archer and Olive white acrylograph paint pen to just touch up that area and make it look like that mistake never happened. Next up is the first of my very simplified weekly setups. This month I'm keeping the weeklies very basic and exactly the same, minus a change of holding hand artwork and quote. I did leave some room in case I need to add some sort of weekly tracker, so there is some white space as well. On the hand artwork, I will repeat the string of rainbow beads to not only connect the dots, pun intended, but connect the weekly spreads to the rest of the theme. The other elements will also mimic the simpler style of this setup. The dailies are on the left of each page with a mini calendar. Each day has its own simple cursive, non-stylized header highlighted by the N95 Tombow dual brush pen. Also on the left are the hand drawings and a mini calendar. On the right is a rolling weekly task list and my chosen quote for the week. Like I said, very simple. The quote for week 23 is from Eileen Miles. It reads, "I hope there's mystery and poetry in your life. Not even in poems, but in patterns. I hope you can see them often. These patterns will wake you up, and you will know that you are alive again and again." Eileen is a genderqueer poet renowned for when they made a run at the U.S. presidential election in 1992 via a write-in campaign. They have also been described as one of the savviest and most restless intellects in contemporary literature. Making sure the acrylographs are dry this time, the last step is to outline the string of beads. I already set up the spreads for the subsequent weeks, so let's look at those quickly and recognize their poets. Jamaican-American poet June Jordan represents week 24 with the quote, "I am the history of the rejection of who I am." This one hits super close to home right now. For week 25, I chose "You Are Right Where You Should Be. Now Act Like It" from Michelle T, because sometimes I just need a good kick in the arse. Elizabeth Bishop reminds us in week 26 to recognize the present. She wrote, "Hoping to live days of greater happiness, I forgot that days of less happiness are passing by." And I'm so guilty of that. And last, for the weeklies, is Charlotte Mew, with moving words such as "we are what we are," the spirit afterwards, but first, the touch. My last spread for June is a reflection page. As you can see, I brought back the washi tape, and since I had plenty remaining, I started with red in the middle and took the rainbow outward on both sides. One tip, if you do this sort of washi design, put all the washi on first with a little overhang and then cut the tails off all at the same time. This washi is thin and I'm able to see through it, so I could also trim around the hand drawing at the bottom fairly precisely with gentle pressure as to not cut all the way through the page. Again, my headers are simple on this spread as well. I have space to write a reflection, note items I'm proud of, as well as things I'm working on. I also left space to write some favorites for the month. Nothing is too structured. On the right is room for a playlist, where I turned the playlist bullet points into a string of beads connected to the holding hands. While I have a playlist titled Crayola Box, it isn't exactly a Pride playlist, so I recommend Topsify's Pride Party 2022 playlist on Spotify. It's linked below. The final poet is a new discovery for me, DANEZ Smith. I am, in a word, obsessed. His words are exquisite, haunting, powerful, gut-wrenching, all the emotions. If you truly want to feel what it is like to be a black gay man in America, then read his poetry. I dare you to not be moved to action. The quote I chose reads, "I am learning to become all the space I need. I laughed today. For a second, I was unhaunted. I was the sun, not light from some dead star." Again, DANEZ and I are from two wildly different worlds, and yet the same. That is the power of poetry. Thank you for joining this journey celebrating June as Pride Month. If you want to check out the other festivals we visited this year, I'll link that playlist below. June is the last month in this journal, and then I'll say goodbye to Sheree Hay. To be notified when I post the setup for July to December, subscribe below and hit that bell notification. I'm taking a more holistic approach in that setup that will not only inspire productivity, but nurture my whole person as well. I know I've been absent from Instagram as well, but follow me there to see if I use this space for weekly notes or trackers, or if I just enjoy the white space. Like YouTube, Dots and Beyond is coming back across all socials at a healthy pace as I recover from day job burnout. On that note, don't forget to leave me a suggestion for my self-care station under Mind, Body, or Soul in the comments below. And if you don't have a suggestion, just drop me a rainbow emoji so I know you were here. And don't forget, I'm taking suggestions all year long for other festivals and events that take place around the world. From whenever and wherever you're watching this, your time is valuable, and I appreciate you spending some of that time with me today. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Here are a couple other videos I think you might enjoy.